Okay, so today we're going to learn a little bit about the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now we're going to use this quadratic formula to find all the values of x that make 1x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Now in order to find out what makes which values of x make this equal 0, when using the quadratic formula, we will need to know what a, b, and c are. So this is written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And so now we can see that a is 1 and b is 5 and c is 6. And so what we would do is we would get out those blocks, 1, 5, and 6. Now I'm going to move these over this way here, just to the side. I'll leave those there as a reference. I'm going to push it over as much as I can. Okay, push that over so that you can reference it as we go along. Now, what we're looking for is x. So I'm just going to write x, just like that. Now, if I wanted to, I could put it as a block. There's my x. It's an unknown. What is it, right? But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to write it as x equals. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to put our fraction line here. Okay, it says that we need a b here, the opposite of b, and b is 5. So I'm going to put my b there, which is 5. This sign here tells me that I need to take an action on that 5, and that is that I need to flip it over. So now I've got it flipped over. I'm going to leave the plus and minus here. And then we're going, and I won't put the square root sign just yet. I'll put it in a moment. Underneath the square root sign, we're going to have a b squared, and b is 5. And so a b squared is just going to be a 5 square. Okay, so I'll put my 5 square there. And then it says that I need to have 4ac. We're going to take away 4ac, but we'll worry about that sign in a minute. So 4ac. Well, a is 1 and c is 6, so that means that it's going to be 1 by 6 and AC is, and we want 4 of them, 4 ACs. So you can see we have 4 ACs. But there's an action that we need to do here, and that is that we need to flip that. And so we're going to flip that in there. And now I'm going to put in my square root sign. I wanted to leave the square root sign till after because I wasn't quite sure how tall this would be when I built it with the blocks. All right, so what we have here on the top is we have negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac. On the bottom, we have 2a. Now a is just 1, so we just need 2 of those, 2a. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to start combining what's underneath the square root sign. So a 5 square is the same as 5. Well, let's actually go from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Easily countable. If your kids know how to skip count, then they can go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Now, that's 25. And so what I'm going to do is just build that down here. There's 25. Now this is, if we turn it this way, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, negative 24. So what we need to do is make negative 24. First we get out 24, and then we flip it. Once it's flipped, we can put it on top. And then what's sticking out is going to be what our answer is. So here we can see that we're going to have 1 left in here. So all of this ends up being just 1. And so we put that in there. You see, it's getting simplified. Okay, so now it says that we have negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 1. Now, what's the square root of 1? The square root of 1 is just the side of the square of 1. Well, that's just 1, which happens to be just that. So we take the square root sign off, and now we've got this. So now this says I've got negative 5 plus or minus 1 over 2. Well, we want to just look at the plus part first. So negative 5 plus 1. So let's do our work down here. Here's negative 5. And we're going to add 1 to that. Okay, so I'm going to put the smaller block. Now, I don't mean smaller in value. I just mean smaller in size on top. So there's my negative 5 plus my 1. And that just gives me negative 4. And that is all over 2. So what this means is that I have negative 4 divided by 2. Well, this is the whole rectangle, and I need to build it out of 2's. This is my across. So I'm going to cover that up. I'm going to build my 4 with 2's. Then I'm going to do the action, flip it over, and then I'm just looking for the downside of this. And the downside of this is negative 2. Where should I put my answers? How about we put it here? X equals negative 2. That's one answer. That's one thing that makes this equal 0. Okay, so then that was the negative 5 plus 1 all over 2. Now we're going to do the negative 5 minus 1 all over 2. So this tells me when I do the minus thing that I need to flip that. So it's actually going to be negative 5. And I'm just going to add a negative 1 to it. And again, that's all over 2, which looks like this with symbols. Negative 6 over 2. It's going to be my total rectangle. This is my across. This tells me what I'm building with. And my down will be right here, whatever my answer is here. So I need to make 6 out of 2's first. So 1, there's 2, 4, and 6. And then my action is that I need to flip before I count my downside. And so now this is flipped, so we know that's negative. So negative 3. So X equals negative 3. Okay, so I'm going to put that back up. When we use the positive, that stays that way. When we use the negative, that gets flipped. Okay, so now we have our two answers that make 1x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Let's take 1x squared plus 5x. Well, I guess I should leave that under there. Plus 5x plus 6. And we want it to equal 0. We're going to check to see if x equaling negative 2 will make this equal 0. So we're going to put our negative 2 into the equation wherever we see an x. Okay, so this says negative 2 times negative 2. And so we are going to ignore the signs for now and just it says we're counting 2's and we're counting them 2 times. So there's 1, 2, 2 2's, and that's 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the action is flip it once, flip it twice, and that looks like we are at positive 4. So then let's do 5 counted 2 times. And then the action says to flip it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Flipped is negative 10. And then positive 6. Now the way that we check this to see if it equals 0 is to make trains. We put all the negatives in one train, all the positives in another train. And if they are the same size, we have a 0 pair. And that looks like we have a 0 pair. Positive 10, negative 10, that's equal to 0. So negative 2 does indeed make this equal 0. Let's try the negative 3 in here. So negative 3, negative 3. So again, this is just negative 3 times negative 3, right? And so we're going to ignore the signs to begin with, and this is 3 times 3. So we're going to count 3 3 times. So there's 3. 3 3's, right? And then the action is flip it and then flip it again. Well, that tells us that we have positive 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, put that there. I don't think, yeah, I'll put that there. And then we have 5 taken 3 times, but the action is that we flip it. So that's actually negative 15 and then positive 6 again. Well, let's check this. Let's put the negatives all together in a train. And let's put the positives in a train. Do we have a 0 pair? And it appears that we do. So we have positive 15 minus 15. Okay. So both negative 2 and negative 3 work for this. And so those are the values of x that make 1x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Now, you may be asking why I used such a simple question. These are integer answers. We don't want to be doing this when we're starting out and having answers that are really complicated. We want to use basic arithmetic, just like we're doing, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We want to have the basic arithmetic that we practice when we start this. We don't want to be doing, major fractions, major square roots, all that kind of stuff in our answers. We don't want that. We want simple and easy so that they can understand the concept. Once they understand the concept, then we can get more complicated as far as what we want to do. One of the questions in the calculus book for review is x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0. Well, we wouldn't want to jump into that right away because that gives us an answer of 3 plus or minus the square root of 5 all over 2. And so that's a little bit more complicated. We want to leave those until the kids or the adults, whoever we're working with, understand how this works. Once they understand how it works, you can definitely get more complicated right away. And I'm telling you that the more complicated ones can absolutely be done this way with these base 10 blocks. That's the only one I'm going to do tonight. I figure keep it simple, keep it short. Hopefully this really helps you understand how to solve using the quadratic formula and what the purpose of it is for. We'll talk more about what the purpose of finding the zeros are another time. Okay, right now we know that those two values make this equal 0, but why are we finding that? And that's a topic for another video. All right, have a good night, everybody. See you on the flip side.